Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the VIP room. This time we have someone I've been looking forward to having on the show for quite a while. The magnificence of his art is rivaled only by that of his beard. His name rhymes with nutritious and delicious. It's Rolicious Arts. Welcome to the show, Roli.
And don't forget Rolicious, that too. Hello, everybody.
How have you been?
Hello, but slowly but surely. Illustration, learning, branching out. It's a roller coaster of events, emotions, challenges, and other things that come with this job.
Yes, it's quite exciting times. I do believe you've been busy lately with your own projects and such.
I can't remember the last time when I was not busy with a project. I think this last couple of 2 years was like the most busiest I've ever had.
Hopefully not too busy. I've still been meaning to commission some more art from you because your style is quite unique and it stands out amongst all the other stuff in my collection of commissioned arts. The Juvia Lockhart art that I commissioned from you is still in my history as one of my profile pictures on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I remember that piece. God damn, that was years ago.
That was quite a long time ago. It's been a little over 3 years since I stumbled into your Picado stream.
It was definitely a really long time. God, maybe even 4. I have no sense of time. For me, everything seems like it was yesterday.
I think it's close to 4, because I believe I stumbled into it late 2015.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And as for the Julia Lockhart picture, according to records, this piece is only 4 days away from having its 3-year anniversary.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is quite old.
I wouldn't say that old, but it's quite a time period.
It's been a fantastic time.
It was the best of times, it was the saddest of times. It was the waifuest and most husbandos of times.
Waifus for days. Only for the most gentlemanly of gentlemen.
I have no idea where I was going with that joke. Let's move on.
Yes, moving on. I believe I'll start with the most obvious and straightforward question. How long have you been doing art, and what got you into it?
I've been doing art for as long as I can remember myself, really. When I was no taller than a coffee table. I remember I already had like a pencil, a paper, and I was already sketching a bunch of random stuff. And constantly show it to my mother to her annoyance.
Did she put it on the fridge?
No, we never had this refrigerator tradition like you see in the media and stories. I remember I used to store my illustrations in a drawer in a desk we had in the living room. I can't remember whatever happened to them. In the past, my archiving skills were non-existent, or I think I was always given my art to someone like a gift. I already had like a trend going back then.
Well, maybe some of that art is still in that desk, in that drawer.
No, the desk is no longer existent, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. I wish back then I was smart enough to know about the future, and I would like to see the previous works, like the very, very first illustrations that I've ever created, and then look up on what I do today. But, well, you know, you can't know everything when you're starting off as a wee lad.
Mistakes are made, some regrets happen, but life goes on, and art improves. The biggest question first is, I know that you've wanted to make your own comic for a while, and you did have, I think it was The Gallery, or Adventures of the Gallery, or something like that?
Ah yes, A Day in the Gallery. I followed the advice of my friends to just draw a comic, just start it. And so I kind of did. I had a few ideas, but then I'm like, I was standing in front of a wall thinking, what now? I mean, I got characters, yes. I made a few jokes here and there, but I got lost. I didn't know what to do with the characters. Like, I realized my characters had no character. They got a design, they got an image, they got some basic information, but that's not what makes them likable. Yeah, they look cool, but that's not how it works. There needs to be more. And so I kind of abandoned that project because I didn't know what to do, wanted to go learn that, but got caught up in other projects that I was hired for, so I had to postpone that idea for some time.
Well, it's a bit of a shame that you had to postpone it. I was actually quite enjoying the comic when you were making it. If I'm not mistaken, that's where your character, Rando, the speech bubble, was mostly prominent, as well as Adam.
Now, Adam is a relatively recent character. A Day in the Gallery started a long time ago. I made a few skits here and there, but Adam was not included just yet, no.
Oh, okay, so that was back when it was just the persona of yourself? Because I believe there was such a thing in Day in the Gallery.
Yeah, before anything, I wanted to make an image for myself, like a theme for the gallery, like a brand, as some people call it. Basically, I made a persona, an illustration of myself, if I would like to say, put myself into like a banner that will advertise my commissions or something, you know, a face of the company, so to say. And so I made that persona. But I kind of abandoned the idea some years later because I wanted something a bit more simple. I started learning design, and the rules of design told me that simplicity is best. And I figured my character was not simple enough, so I kind of like scrapped them and just added my somewhat familiar looking face as an icon and called it a day. And it was simple, it followed the rules, it looked appealing, so I stuck with it until now. Of course, there were a few changes here and there. Now it's a bit more cooler and more simple and elegant. And when I started thinking about comics and characters again, I wanted a new character, but I couldn't think of the design. I wanted a healer, a monk, a saint, but I couldn't think of a design. I mean, I kind of went back and forth, and then I went back to my old sketches to see maybe if there's something I can recycle or bring back from the dead. And then I came across my old persona, and I figured, well, I mean, this design hasn't appealed, but with a few tweaks, I can make this work. And so I took the persona, remastered him, and turned him into Adam, the Grey Wanderer.
If I'm not mistaken, when he got introduced to here, there was like a bit of a storyline going on there too.
Well, not really. I mean, he was a healer that wandered the world, helping those in need. I didn't really put anything like in canon or in written form. I was just talking about my comic idea among friends, but I never wrote anything down, so you won't find much in the gallery, really. But the idea for him was, like I said, he's a healer, a monk, someone who like helps everyone. And that's when I started thinking, I need to give more to this character. And that's when I took character writing a little bit more seriously. I invested a little bit more time into it. What I started learning about characters is the first thing is, why should the audience care about this character? That was like the number one rule. From what I've learned from other big medias, a character must have a struggle, a goal, and the paths can never be easy. So I started looking at other examples of, for example, why do people like Batman? He's a guy who plays 4D chess with everything and everyone. He has a plan for a plan, and if that plan fails, he has another plan, and if that plan fails, he has a plan for that plan. A Boy Scout cranked up to 12 is how I would describe Batman. He had a goal, he had an idea that he wants to make the world a better place, to make sure no one goes through the same experience he went during his childhood. He was basically slapped in the face by reality, people die, bitch. And sometimes they die in this really horrible, gruesome way. What you gonna do about it? And so Bruce was like, I'm gonna become Batman. You see, this guy wants to improve, he wants to make good in the world, but he's struggling, and that's what makes him likable. Batman became Batman because he went through hell, but despite being in hell, he fights and fights to make it heaven. When you're learning something for the first time, you start to notice things you've never noticed before when you were like, oh, this makes more sense why this character does that, or why he says this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've recently started study in IT, and I'm going through and learning things that I've seen other people do, and I'm like, now I understand how this works and what they were doing, and it is a little bit exciting. I get what you're getting at.
We all wanted to do something in our lives, at least once. We started trying and we started to fail. And after all these failures, we started to improve, and then we're now on a much higher level. We know how to do things. And what makes Batman so likable is that we've been there. We know the struggle.
No, I get it.
I'm trying to sound a little bit too professional. I mean, I can talk about this a lot, but yeah, character writing is hard.
Yeah, as a writer with more characters than I know what to do with, it can be quite a challenge to flesh out a character and make them more than just a neat design with a funny name. I thought it was quite an interesting foray into how you got about to learning how to make your old design into an actual fleshed out, interesting character.
I do have an idea, but I don't know how to execute it yet. I know I can't make perfection. Unfortunately, I've learned that the hard way. But I want to make a decent work. So this is all a work in progress, so there's really not much to talk about. I got a bunch of ideas. For Adam, for Salvia, for the other characters that I have. I mean, I already know all of my characters are in one universe, one world, one timeline. I definitely want that. I want all my characters in just one big world.
I can relate to that. I keep trying to come up with new ways to have some big, interesting world with many characters all living within the same space without living directly together. That goes beyond just character writing and into world building. And when you go from a single individual person that you have to flesh out to at least a continent or something, or a country, it's a big jump.
Oh yeah, world building. That's another reason why I want all my characters to be in one place, because then I don't really have to twist my head around like all the worlds and universes. I can just create a one set of rule for the universe and have all the characters follow them. I'm just starting to like look into bigger medias, starting listening to reviews like why this show sucks, why this show is awesome, why this character's likable, why we hate this character. Looking at you, fucking Family Guy. Sorry, I've just been... When it comes to reviews, a lot of people criticize Family Guy in all its episodes in the writing. And I kind of, at some point, got stuck in a loop for like 2 days just listening to people rant about Family Guy.
Yeah, no, I've seen some of those. It's just... Oh, they can go on and on.
At least I know what's bad writing and what's bad character, like development, etc. Maybe Family Guy is bad and just needs to stop. It's a bad example, but you can still learn from this.
Funnily enough, my editor quite likes Family Guy, but...
I apologize to your editor in advance. Well, not advance, but because I already said that I don't like Family Guy.
It's all good.
Let's just say the writing could be better.
She gets enough guff about it from me.
Oh, okay. So that's not her first experience, not her first encounter. Okay.
Yeah, not her first rodeo. But yes, it's a work in progress, and when you eventually get it up and running, I look forward to it greatly. I've enjoyed the attempts at comics you've done so far, and the little bits of world building with some of the art pieces you've done, especially the ones where it's Adam and Salvia discussing something or communicating with each other. A few of those that you've got on DeviantArt.
Oh yeah, I had these ideas and I liked them and I wanted to like give them like an illustration, a frame.
Continuing with comics, you did work for somebody else illustrating a comic for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yes, Void Comics. A few years ago, I was approached by the creator of Void Comics, Ezekiel Rage. I met them through our live streams. He approached me and asked if I was interested in volunteering to illustrate an issue for one of his long-running series. Replica, to be more specific, was that series. So I wanted to start on a comic, but I didn't know what to do, so I figured I'll take this project as like a warm-up, as a learning experience, see what I can get from it. In terms of learning, there wasn't really much, but I did make a good friend that I talked to every now and then about writing, characters, franchises, latest like movies. You know, we go on discussions about these kind of things, and I keep catching myself doing that. I just keep telling details that aren't really necessary.
I don't think it's too bad. I mean, this is a very relaxed interview, so tangents happen.
I'm just been so busy lately, I don't know what relaxed is anymore. To me, this is relaxed when I'm talking about work. I need a vacation.
Take a vacation down under. Come visit me. I'll buy you cookies.
I thought you were gonna give me a Vegemite sandwich. Ayo.
I mean, I would, but it'd probably murder you because Vegemite is incredibly salty and very few people, even down here, can stand the taste.
I played League of Legends and Overwatch. That amount of salt didn't kill me. Vegemite definitely doesn't stand a chance.
So, working as an artist for a living. You take commissions, yes?
Yes, that's how I live or survive. It's not as glamorous as many described. It is hard work. It is challenging. It is definitely no piece of cake. In fact, it is a giant boulder that you gotta try and swallow. There is no universal system for how things work with freelance, and for everyone, it's always different. And when you're an artist, you're a freelancer, you want to make this living, you gotta think about several factors. For example, marketing, getting your name out there, letting people know that you're alive, you exist, you do this work, and you're offering your services. You gotta know what works with people, what do people recognize, what do people like, what can you do to like contribute to like help your gallery develop to get the audience. Well, again, researcher. You gotta like learn what's going on. What are the people interested? You have to, at some point, turn to mainstream media and do some fan art to like get a spotlight, because the internet, the way algorithms work these days, makes it really hard for like original concept to reach the surface so easily. People like what they recognize. People like what's the loudest. Long story short, everyone's experience is always different from one another. I started off in a fandom, My Little Pony to be more specific. They kind of brought me back from the dead and got me back to art, so I started doing fan art, which gained people's interest. Like, can you do more? In my career as a freelancer. Freelancing is hard in terms of starting out, finding your audience, figuring out what your audience wants, what do you want, trying to balance that out so you don't start just catering to people and completely forget about your own needs just for survival. It's a balancing act of insanity.
That makes sense. That sounds like what a lot of people have told me about trying to be commission-based artists and living off the commissions they make. I'm familiar with trying to figure out how to deal with the algorithm here on YouTube.
Yeah.
I know some people have gone on record to be like, they will get a bunch of videos out, then they'll make that one video that the algorithm snaps up and goes, we know exactly what to do with your channel now and where to advertise your videos, and bam, they just skyrocket from there. But other times it's just like it doesn't know what to do with you at all.
Yeah, it's not just YouTube. It's like, well, that's algorithms. That's just how they work, in big air quotes. In this day of age of media, we have a bigger reach, but not everything comes easy because algorithms exist. And we're basically at the mercy of RNG, random generation, because we just don't know what the algorithm's going to do to us. We could put works and hours and days, maybe even months into a single illustration. It'll just leave unnoticed. But we can do a little sketch and the algorithm's going to be like, oh, damn, son, I'm putting this on the fridge.
Oh yeah, I felt that firsthand here on YouTube. Last year, which was the first year I regularly posted content, basically got nothing. But in my first year, where I made a total of like maybe 12 videos, a good third of which were little updates, I got 80 subscribers, a bunch of my videos got over 100 views. It can be a bit daunting and off-putting, but sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches when the algorithms and just the flow of everything decides, now it's your time to have attention and now it's time for you not to.
But yeah, regardless of algorithms, media, all this research, keep doing the voodoo that you do. You're an illustrator, keep illustrating, keep improving, keep learning. Just keep doing the voodoo that you do, and hopefully one day your number will come up.
Yeah, it makes sense. Hopefully some people will hear that and will follow these words of wisdom and get some inspiration to continue. But moving on from the struggles and the intricacies of being a freelancer, well, are you open for commissions at the moment, actually?
I'm always open.
Well then, if you're interested in some art, and I would recommend Roli's art because it's fantastic. It's a very unique style. I quite enjoy it. I've got a few things, including one really nice Coco Bandicoot art piece. I would say go and check them out and go and get some art commissioned. I will leave links to, I believe your DeviantArt is still up, and your Twitter down below. I believe your Twitter has your commission price list on it.
Yep. Yeah, just disclaimer, my art is much better than my rambling and explanation. Because I don't know if people think that I know what I'm doing after this interview.
Oh, it's all good. A lot of people get tongue-tied and all confused with interviews. I'm pretty sure Mikey spent most of his interview completely dumbfounded on what to say and what to talk about. And then being blindsided by being gifted Honey Pop halfway through probably didn't help.
It's like the saying goes, we know what to say, but we don't know how to say it.
Yes, I relate to that so much. Every time I go into study and it's a theory and it's, okay, here's a question and I know the answer. I know the very straightforward way of putting the answer down, but then they go, make it like, write it in a nice way or put a little bit of fluff and stuff in it, and then I automatically shut down because I'm like, I can't write it that way. I know the answer, but I don't know how to answer it in the way you want it to be answered.
Oh yeah, that is also a thing, yeah.
Unless you want to tell us a little bit about your two darling characters. I believe they're two of your more prominent OCs, Jelly and Salvia.
Well, I mean, I could say a few things about these characters, I guess. Salvia and Jelly, they're definitely going to have their comics, or at least crossovers or cameos. They're definitely going to be around. I'll start with my recent character, Salvia. The idea that I have for Salvia is for her to be an assassin, a cold-blooded killer with absolutely no second thought with pulling the trigger. She came out of nowhere, and she's hunting this one particular family that's scattered all across the world. She's slaughtering every single member, and her goal is to like eradicate the entire tree, erasing them from history. I figured that Salvia would be like a manifestation of hatred. Even though she's a spirit of vengeance, her entire goal is to bring justice. While she portrayed as a cold-blooded killer, just a machine, she does like show some personality and some change. She's wandering the world. She already knows Adam. These guys are a pair. At first I wasn't sure what to do with Salvia and Adam until I had an idea of them just encountering for the first time and then starting having interactions. And I figured, yeah, now this kind of works. Now the ball is bouncing between walls. As for Jelly, my idea for her is that she is a diplomat. She lives under the sea. She's constantly in between crossfire of factions. There's a constant war down there, not just civil war, but also war from the surface, like pollution, whale hunting. I kind of figured I'd make this a story about how to be cool with nature. I kind of like this. This whole thing has a ring to it. She is a bubbly character in a world that's constantly in war. She still tries to see the best in people and trying to bring them together like, guys, you do realize how stupid this is and we can just solve this much easier without having to resort to this, right? She's a character that would constantly get punched, but she will always get up, forgive, and try to break down the situation of why this happened. Jelly is that voice that's gonna be like, look fam, I'm gonna be real with you. And then people realize, now that you put it that way, this does sound like we could have resolved this a much easier and less bloody way. I kind of been in these kind of situations myself when parties conflict and nobody wants to discuss this because, I don't know, they just don't. I don't understand why.
I think it's a pride thing.
It could be that. One rule of character writing that I've already know is that everyone must have a reason to be in the world. Adam, he's in a post-war world. He's a healer, and he could be very useful to heal the wounds, not only physically, but mentally. Salvia exists because, well, there's bad guys. Scum who, actually, murders people for no good reason. And Salvia is there to, reduce their numbers so that the world will have a much easier time to breathe. She's like a cure for a disease, let's put it that way. Jelly, she exists because there needs to be a voice of reason.
I think you're on a pretty good path, actually. They sound like fairly solid starting ideas, basis for characters. I think you wrote a little bit of a blurb for one of the art pieces you did featuring Adam and Salvia, and I thought that was actually quite well written. They bounce off each other quite nicely, and they felt like they had some character in there.
Salvia and Adam, they both have the same goal. They want to help the world, they want to improve it. But their methods are different. Adam here saves the world, sacrifices himself by helping other people with the healing and explaining. Salvia, she reduces the numbers. The less bad people, the better the world. Well, Adam would be just re-educate them. Salvia's don't re-educate them, just get them off the planet. There's good fundamental here, I feel. You can never forget the character must have a conflict, a struggle, something that they need to overcome in order to grow and develop. Something for a fight that people will make them root for the character.
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to reading more of that when you get around to it. It's always interesting to see characters who have similar or the same goal, but opposing methods and ideologies on how to achieve it.
Yeah, it's a classic. You can never go wrong with a classic, and I think it's a very good way to start with something that was already established and it will work.
Yeah, I think you're off to a great start. Listeners, I would encourage you to leave your feedback about what you think of Roli's characters and ideas so far in the comments below. As a fellow writer, any feedback is good feedback, even if it's criticism or pointing out things where stuff could be improved or giving suggestions. At the very least, they can go check out your art, they can go read the small bits of story writing that is associated with them, if they want to have a bit more in-depth look before leaving any feedback. But I believe we are out of time, so I'd like to thank you, Roli, for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always good to speak to you. I don't get to catch up with you much due to the differing time zones. You're often streaming when I'm either in bed or supposed to be going to bed.
Yeah, timing is always unfortunate.
Yes, I have to try and approach some people in America about doing some of these, which will be quite interesting because they're 12 to 15 hours behind me. So that's it's gonna require some massive juggling. As it is, it's been a pleasure having you on here, and I hope everyone has enjoyed the show. As I said earlier, there will be links to Roli's DeviantArt and Twitter down below, specifically a link to his commission price list. You guys should all definitely check that out. Check out his art and throw some commissions his way. You won't regret it. And until next time, cheers.